Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. I have a return guest on the show. So Geoffrey A. Cole, I call him G. Many people call him G. He just released the book, How to Live Anxiety Free. I've been looking forward to this book for at least a year. It's finally out. It's a bestseller. For those of you that are not familiar with G's work, he's also the president and co-founder over at Supermind. Hey, I just want to start off. G, welcome back to the show. You did it. The book is out. You are a bestseller. Congrats, man.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'm not sure I could have done it without your guidance. It's been great working with you, and you've just been a great help all the way through. So I appreciate everything you do and helping me out.
We got a lot to talk about today. I want to get into the book, of course, and I want to catch up. It's been a little while since we last spoke, but before we do that, we will start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So at Mission Matters, as you're aware, G, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. G, what mission matters to you?
Truly, I'm on a mission of helping the world become a love-based place. And I generally do that one nervous system at a time, which is every person's world, their nervous system. That's what we do at Supermind, is we integrate a process of helping you live and program your nervous system to live from love rather than fear, which is the normal human experience. And do that very quickly by integrating it with biofeedback. And I've also written this great book called How to Live Anxiety Free, which provides a nice little guide on how to live from love instead of fear, which love is anxiety free.
Yeah, love it. Love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs on here to share, why they do what they do, how they're doing it, what we can all learn from that so we all grow together. So, G, just to get us kicked off here, I want to go further into your background, how you got into helping people, because I want to start a little bit earlier before we get into the book, because, you've been doing this a long time. Some of the ideas and the science behind this that you develop, you've literally worked with thousands of people. So maybe start a little bit further back in the beginning and tell us how you got involved with helping people.
Thank you. That's a good question. I started this whole journey by suffering, and I had unbridled anxiety, sleep issues, I had addiction issues. I also lived with a very deep, dark depression, literally 7 years of depression. And pretty soon, like in the first year, I figured out how to kind of cope and how to fight through the depression and the anxiety. I learned a lot of techniques, and those really, I was barely surviving, functioning as best I could with what I had. And, I went everywhere for help. I tried Reiki. I tried transcendental meditation. I tried psychologists, psychiatrists, medications that didn't work for me. And, I just couldn't get there. And so I really started to study. And a really weird thing about my depression was I was able to pretty much every day get to a place where I was okay, or I was even happy at the end of the day. And then I would go to sleep and I would wake up in a deep, dark, before I was thinking, I knew that I really just shouldn't get out of bed. It wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And it was hard to work through that. And then I was able to build a routine, which I now call the morning mental fitness routine, to help me get through the day. And then in my journey, I started to study psychology and many different religions and dogma to understand, all the different ways that people have over, our lifetimes in the past centuries figured out how to be in charge of themselves and feel better. And finally, I found bioneurofeedback, and that really transformed my life. And right after I started doing that and mapping my own mind, I was able to watch in the brainwaves on paper and on computers to see the changes in my brain. And I actually started to wake up without that deep, dark, suicidal like that, 2 days
Yeah.
later, I didn't have it anymore. And I was amazed. I was like, oh my gosh. And that was back in 2007. And, I kind of dropped everything and moved in and started to study with the inventor of a system of neurobiofeedback.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 months later, I brought it home and was doing the work with our psychologist. I was counseling at the time, helping people because I was a great coper.
Mm-hmm.
Then we brought it into the practice, and we've now been able to create a process where you can be in charge of your own nervous system, which means you get to live without anxiety, without depression, without having sleep issues, without ever having to cope again. Because you can transform how your system works to guide it and condition it and impact your nervous system to function the way you want. And I've been doing this since 2007 with thousands and thousands of people, transforming their lives. So obviously I've discovered a lot. And it became very important for me to publish this book. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to help people with the experience that I've had, where I have been helping people attain high levels of psychological well-being and happiness through a neurological perspective, which is what you were talking about. I've created new science to understand how people feel and function based on their brainwaves, and created a brainwave-driven therapy, which is all described in the book. And I also provide in the book the tools and techniques on how to self-direct your neuroplasticity to get to a place where you get to live anxiety-free.
Last time we talked, I know another thing that you're pretty known for is speaking and speaking engagements. I know you had one that I think you would have recently done, right? Connecting Giants and Unicorns. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how'd it go?
Oh, that was great. I was on a panel with the global director of Google and health innovation, and with the Cleveland Clinic innovation director for evolving technologies and innovations. And was able to speak truthfully how difficult it is for somebody like me, who's created a new science, which is going to wipe anxiety and depression off the face of the earth, to get it in with the big boys. It almost reinforced why I've had so many difficulties. The director from the Cleveland Clinic said, we really do want to help innovations come out to the public to help people. However, we want to own them. I'm like, oh, that sounds so attractive. I bring you my great idea and you just want to own me. I was just like, oh my God. So yeah, it highlighted the problems. And since then, both of those heads of those big companies for the innovation have been introducing me to key players to help us hopefully collaborate without me having to sell out,
Yeah. I wanna go further into the book. Let's jump around a little bit here and let's go a little bit deeper. So, how to live anxiety free. So you've been doing this since back in 2007. You at first were on this personal journey of helping yourself. You were able to help yourself. You were able to learn a lot along the way. Now you start to decide to help others. And so now the culmination of going on many years of work back in 2007. Now you decide to finally publish this book. What was that like? Like going inward to publish a book for something that you've been working on this long? I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Well, talk about doing something that could cause a lot of anxiety.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Here I am. I begin the book about telling my personal experience. So I'm kind of airing my dirty laundry, and putting it out there. And that could cause anxiety. Fortunately, I have been on a journey of living very true to myself, and therefore I'm fully transparent. And I know that everything that happened in my life and all my past decisions were great things to learn from. And so it's important to be able to talk about it, to explain what was going on, so that other people who relate with that can see a path out of that.
Yeah.
And, that was a big part of writing the book. And, I'm a little older, and I've had a lot of life experiences, and there's a lot of life experiences that I wanted to put in the book, and I'm not sure were, relevant, which is why I used an editor to help me out with that. It wasn't easy. I have actually been working on this book really about 10 years. Like you mentioned that earlier, that you knew I was working on it for years.
I'm on your side. I'm like, man, you got to get this thing out there, G. Come on. Like I'm just give you little pushes, in God's time.
Well, and that's a big part of the important message is it's very important to say what you have to say and not so important to say it perfectly.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a perfect, ode to all written materials out there.
Yeah.
And it's important to say as much as you can say in a meaningful way and not, be concerned about putting out the perfect book. And so I do want to say it's not the perfect book. It's an awesome book. I'm getting 5-star reviews, and actually the reviews are bringing tears to my eyes because of the impact it's having on people's lives. And a lot of the people who have bought the book and are reviewing it are also past clients, and so they're also speaking to how I've really helped them transform their lives and break free of patterns that were developed from traumatic childhoods that they may not have been able to break free from. And it's been an amazing journey, and I worked hard on the book and worked with editors. I think it's a good book, and it's already helping lots of people, which is, that's the best part, right?
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about just the structure of the book and what you hope the readers are going to get out of it. Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
So I really begin with my story so that readers can understand the depths that people can go to and still climb out of those holes, and possibly readers can relate with it to be able to then follow into the rest of the book, where I describe a lot of my experience with other people and how I help them break free. And then I really get into the tools and techniques to apply to your life, how to apply them to your life. So at the end of the book, if you follow within the book, it's very good chance you'll be able to live anxiety free, which is, like anything that's something free. It isn't 100% gone. It's about 95 or 98% gone. And it really gives you the tools and techniques to deal with whatever anxiety might come up. There's also tools and techniques on how to deal with trauma and grieving, which cause anxiety as well. So I covered a lot of different areas of psychological well-being and the tools and techniques to be able to get there in the book, and interwoven with my experience with myself and with people I've treated, the thousands of people I've treated.
You mentioned in the book that you tell stories about maybe people that you've helped or that you've coached along the way. Can you give maybe an example one of these to give the audience a little bit of a flavor of what to expect?
Well, I had a client who came in that was having up to 7 panic attacks a day. And
that's incapacitating. That's a lot.
Yeah. She couldn't look at herself in the mirror because she was too concerned about what she was seeing and had such self-doubt.
Very sad.
And by walking through the process as described in the book, this was about 8 years ago, and I talked to her 2 months ago, and she has never had another panic attack.
Wow.
And so, panic attack is a form of anxiety. I talk about all of this in the book, differences between anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and the different levels of anxiety. And when I say levels of anxiety, I mean the intensity of the anxiety, the strength and the length of it. I also mean where in our consciousness. So I apply the neuroscience that I've learned from the biofeedback to being able to understand how anxiety can influence our lives in such a negative way and have it not make sense. It's embedded in the unconscious. And then how to break it free and break up that pattern and create the pattern you want. And it's just it's been a great journey, and I'm just really glad I was able to write about it and get it in the book and help so many people with it. So I appreciate it.
And you talk about tools and techniques in the book to help people. Obviously, there's a methodology, a framework, and there's kind of the process that's laid out. But maybe can you elaborate just a little bit on some of the tools or a tool that you're helping people with in the book, or that you're giving, or a technique?
Sure. In the beginning, It's small, it's spoon fed, it's
Yeah,
how to breathe.
that's a
There's a
good
way,
one.
right?
That's important. What do you mean?
So I start with the basic,
Yeah.
and so I guide people through a breathing technique, which
Hmm.
is just to breathe in for the count of 3, hold your breath
Hmm.
for 3, and then breathe out for 3. That technique works for
Can
many
we do
people.
it? Let's do it right now. What is that? What's the technique? You breathe in for 3.
All right,
Guide me. Let's get for our audience. I want them to be able to do it too. How do you do it?
all right. So you want to get comfortable.
I'm
Either
comfy. Come on. Let me hold on. Does that mean? Okay, there we go. We're good.
you can actually do it standing or sitting. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in the perfect pose.
All right.
And so it's literally what I was saying. You want to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. 2, 3. Breathe out. 2, 3. And if you do that 3 times, your autonomic nervous system kicks off the parasympathetic nervous system, which is
Mm,
the deactivating side of your nervous system, so that you can immediately start to
yeah.
feel calmer.
Yeah.
And so that's one technique. I coach people through that
Of
and
course.
suggest you look into breathing techniques and find out which one works best for you.
Mm,
A breathing technique is very, very important. That 333 is not the only one.
mm-hmm.
And however, it works for the majority of people. And so that's one of them. Along the way, towards the end of the book, I have tools and techniques to really align your nervous system
Mm-hmm.
with whoever you want to be.
Mm,
And a lot of people don't really know who that is. So I
yeah.
also provide tools and techniques on how to figure that out.
Mm,
Which, when you're living true to yourself, knowing who you want to be,
yeah.
there's no room for anxiety.
Yeah. I love it. And I like that you bring this down to sometimes when people are thinking about reading books or other things, it's like, can I do it? Is it for me? Well, that breathing technique that you just gave just shows that anyone can do this. Like people can get help for what they're going through. Everybody starts where they're supposed to be. I'm definitely not the person helping people through this, but you are, your team are. Like, how do people work with you? Like, talk a little bit about that. Speaking of.
So I'm available through my website, jeffreyacole.com.
Mhm.
It's also realgcole.com.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people call me G and not Jeffrey A. Cole. And so you can, book appointments there.
Yeah.
I also, with Supermind.us, because we're
Mhm.
unlocking the Supermind in all of us. So we're
Mhm.
Supermind.us. You can also book there. And there's a booking link.
Yeah.
If Supermind is in Miami, we are right now expanding through practitioners worldwide. And so if they're not in your area, then you might want to come visit Miami. It's a great place to visit. And in 2 weeks, we can fully transform your life so that you're in charge of your nervous system and on a path to
Mm,
living from love and having no anxiety in your life and not having to cope with anything ever again. If you
yeah.
can't get to Miami, I can guide you through the process through telehealth.
Mhm.
And I do that regularly. So I'm very
Yeah.
helpful with lots of people. I mean, our success rates are like 95% of people get more than 50% change in their lives. And we
Mm,
track it. So we're tracking the brainwave change. And we're
mm.
also doing the classic surveys, which I'm not a big fan of. However, they're about the only way we can track stuff. So.
Gee, so now you have the book, you have this science you've created, you've been working with a lot of people. I mean, what's next? How do you spread this to the masses? How do you how do you continue to validate the science? Are you working with like universities? Like what other things are you doing to get this message out there?
Well, that's not the easy part.
Yeah.
Well, then again, creating a whole new science wasn't the easy part either.
Yeah.
So I think I'm ready for the challenge. Literally, you saying the next thing. Tomorrow, I have a team flying in from Israel. The
Wow.
lead psychologist for the armed forces in Israel for the
Mm,
last 20 years is bringing me two treatment resistant soldiers to do
mhm.
some PTSD therapy on. And if or when actually that goes well, they'll be bringing me to Israel to treat. They have right now 30,000 soldiers under treatment and hundreds of thousands of citizens. And admittedly, my process is probably twice as effective as theirs.
Yeah.
So after they're going to be here for a week, after this week, we'll be making plans to go to Israel. I right now have started a study with a local university called Larkin University. And that's going to be, we're actually starting to recruit participants. It's beginning July 20th. And Yale has agreed to start a study. We're looking at sometime September, October. And then UCLA has also agreed to do a study. So we're launching studies. And once those studies are done, our science will be proven. We'll be then doing a FDA study, which requires 200 people. And once we get that done, we'll be rolling out through doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists. And the next phase from there is to create a wearable that we can sell worldwide off Amazon, I guess.
Man, gee, so you're busy.
I'm just a little busy, yes.
Oh man. Well, hey, I definitely appreciate you making time for us over at Mission Matters. I'm thrilled to get this message out to our audience about your new book. And for everybody listening, just so you know, or actually I should ask you, G, what's the best way for people to connect, get the book, learn more? Like how do people follow up?
So you can email me at Geoffrey@realgcole.com. You can buy the book. There's a QR code on the back to hit the website to contact me. You can reach out to Adam, and Adam will connect you with me. You can also hit supermind.us and fill out the contact form, or Geoffrey@cole.com and fill out the form.
Perfect.
So we're easy to access.
All good. By the way, we're going to put the links to the websites and everything in the show notes so that you can just click on the link and head right on over and check out Geoffrey's website, all that other good stuff. Pick up a copy of the book, of course. And if you need help and you wanna connect and learn more about their program, do that as well. Speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with us and you haven't done it yet, this is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new ideas, new thought leaders, new entrepreneurs, new content, and hopefully new inspiration that's going to help you along in your journey. If you haven't hit that subscribe or follow button yet, highly encourage it. I want you to get that notification tomorrow when the next episode comes out so that you can hopefully be inspired by that as well. Have more great guests coming on. And G, again, thank you so much. Congrats on the bestseller, and wishing you much more continued success with the studies and everything else that you're up to. And I'll definitely be following the story. So thanks again for coming on.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate you and everything you do as well. So I appreciate being on your show and look forward to interacting with you in the future.